in Ivory Coast. Well, not the best of results today as they played a 1-1 draw with Equitorial Guinea. Well, like I said, not the best of results, but here in the studio with me is one of the biggest sport journalists and analysts in the country that will be taking a look at some of the happenings, a review of the game, why Nigeria refused to get the game on a brighter note. But before then, a wonderful evening to every one of you out there. This is Punch Sport Extra Africa Cup of Nations Special Edition. With me in the studio is Damilola Onifade. Good evening, Damilola.
Even good afternoon. Good evening. It's good to be here.
Well, I understand we've been in the studio since since the kickoff of the game.
It's been a bad day for Nigerian football, and so you can understand if suddenly we are beginning to mix up the time.
Well, not the best of results. 1-1 against Equatorial Guinea. What went wrong?
A lot of things went wrong. A lot of things went wrong. And we've seen this coming. Yeah. I'll be shocked if you tell me you're surprised by what we saw today.
Not too surprised.
I mean, when the draws came out, most of us celebrated the draws, not because of any other thing, but because suddenly we found ourselves in a group that had two teams that we should beat, which is Equatorial Guinea and Guinea-Bissau. The only tough game would have been the one against Ivory Coast, which is on Thursday. And that game is a lot more difficult than it is. It ought to be. Because if you have picked 3 points today, then a draw in that game would have been fine. A draw might still be okay, but the way it is now is we are condemned to now get a result from that game.
From that game.
And just to answer your question straight, I can't remember the last time that I was excited watching the Super Eagles. And today is another low. To play against Equatorial Guinea, and Equatorial Guinea had more possession against Nigeria, is the height of embarrassment at this level.
Talking about having more possession than the Eagles, let's quickly take a rundown of some of the stats. Interestingly, Equatorial Guinea had 51 ball possession while Nigeria had 49.
Now let's break that down. This is a midfield of Alazan Yusuf, Alex Iwobi, Frank Onyeka. Let's quickly do it. Alazan plays in Belgium.
Yes, with Antwerp.
With Antwerp. It will be with Fulham in England. Frank Onyeka with
Brentford in
England as well. Now move forward. You have Bojoglas now. You have Nantes, Moses Simon, Ademola Lookman.
Yes.
And then the African Footballer of the Year, the top goal scorer in the Italian Serie A last season, Africa's pride. Osimhen. Now, and with these 6 players, we still struggle to keep possession more than Equatorial Guinea. We still could not score before Equatorial Guinea. We still have lapse in defense, as if we are jittery because we saw the Brazilians in front of us. So, and we considered a very lazy game.
Talking about our defense, it has become a problem. When was the last time we were able to keep a clean sheet, or at least 3 matches consecutively that we don't concede? I can't remember the last time that happened. And today, Equatorial Guinea had just 1 shot on target. And they scored.
And they scored.
So our keeper didn't make any save.
Because he didn't have to.
Because he didn't have to. Yes, he didn't have to. So now the Eagles had 7 shots on target. And they scored only 1 out of the 7. Equatorial Guinea had 1. They scored 1. So looking at this, does that mean we should be worried when we face a team who are very efficient? Because if you are, if your goalkeeper has been faced with just 1 shot, and he considered.
Now, the point, Ebenezer, is that in football, a lot of things work together to make your team effective. Now, first of all, you want to look at the quality of the players you have. What I saw today is a team that's talking about Nigeria now, a team where the players believe that their names, the clubs they play for, and the coach seemingly plays into that will be good enough. Compared to a team that on their own had an admission that yes, we might not have the names, but we are not poor talent-wise, and we can get what we want from you. So they had a plan. The plan is stop Nigeria. Once you can stop Nigeria, if you don't concede in football, you cannot lose a football match. And that plan worked out for them. I don't know if our own worked. I would like to listen to the post-match of
looking at, and the first 10 minutes of the game, we had like 4 chances, which we failed to even make good use of them.
Of the 4.
And after a while, the national Thunder now they struck. So they settled down. The fact that they've been able to hold the Eagles for the first 15 minutes of the game. Then they started to make a statement. And the 36 minutes of the game, they got the opener. And what a fantastic goal from Salvador. And 2 minutes later, Osimhen equalized. While you were watching the game, do you think immediately after the equalizer, the Eagles would have built on that and probably scored more goals?
Yes, apparently we should have built on that, but we couldn't. We didn't, and I don't know for any reason. The second half, we also couldn't do that. And the reasons are neither here nor there. The balance of the Super Eagles team is not good enough.
Okay.
Each time you have a team sheet where you have a lean number in the engine room of the team, you know you are in trouble.
Yeah.
A team that seems to have more wingers than central midfielders, more fullbacks than central midfielders, you know you are in trouble. And that's it. And we also have a defense that over time we've struggled to find a balance in that defense. For a while we've not had Ekong. We've had Shemi Ajayi and Calvin Bassey.
Yeah.
Suddenly Ekong is back. And then you drop Calvin Bassey and Ekong is playing. Now the question is there synergy in that place? For a while we've had Samuel Osai on the right. Then, what's this other? Oyemechi
on the left back.
Suddenly today you have Aino and then Zaidu Sanusi. So you have a disruption in that defense. And then Nwabili is playing his second game for the Super Eagles.
Yeah.
His first game was a warm-up game against Guinea.
Yes.
There's a problem.
We'll be talking about Nwabili later in the game. Now, Osimhen missed a glorious chance. A glorious chance. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. What a nice assist. It would have been a nice assist from Iwobi, but a fine pass from Iwobi. It was put through on goal, and I don't know what happened. He decided to play the ball wide.
It tells you the kind of performance we put up. If our best player also couldn't take a chance that's apparently the world probably was waiting for the net to shake and then we celebrate a second goal. But it just tells you that we had a terrible day. Iwobi, for example, was a player that started with the most energy.
Yes.
But
along
after
the
15
line,
minutes,
it dropped.
In my view, after 15 minutes, it dropped. And you didn't see that robustness. The call for the ball dropped. And for some reason, I don't know why, Alazan probably had his best game in that midfield.
Yes.
But again, we are saying he had his best game because there's nothing to compare with.
Yeah.
As far as the Super Eagles jersey is concerned.
The Las Palmas team, I think their best player played in Las Palmas in Spain.
Yes.
And Las Palmas, they are a team that are somewhere down the table. They're in their first season in the top flight league. And here we have players playing in Napoli, AC Milan, Porto,
Atalanta,
Fulham. We have a host of them. Antwerp. They might not be known to many people, but they play in the Champions League. And Alazan made a name for himself in that game against Barcelona. We saw how he dominated, the midfield. And I want to believe that performance earned him this the invitation. Yeah, this
Don't
call up.
Forget, he's actually a replacement.
Yes, it was a replacement for Ndidi. But now let's take a look at the debutants. We have Nwabili. Let's start with him. How will you rate his performance today? Probably nothing to rate.
It's difficult to rate him because there was no ball to save.
He was faced with only one shot.
And honestly, that could have beaten any goal.
It could have beaten any goal
because it wasn't his fault.
It was a well-placed shot.
The goal he considered, there was no fault of his.
Yeah.
So I really can't rate him.
Okay.
For this game.
Okay. So let's leave him out for now. Probably in the next game where against Ivory Coast. Now let's take a look at Alazan. How will you rate him?
I think he had a good enough game.
I think so too.
I refuse to use the word brilliant, but he had a good enough game. I'm being careful. By the time he played a second game, then we can do comparison. This is his first game.
It was everywhere for me today.
It was everywhere. It was purposeful on the ball, even though the strength of his game is also not passing. So you really can't put so much pressure of that on him. And if you are replacing Ndidi is not a passer.
Yeah.
So just do what Ndidi does and probably do it better. And I think on that grade, you probably want to rate him above average on account of that.
Okay.
So for me,
and those are the two debutants we have. Calvin Bassey.
No,
Calvin Bassey. No, as in playing his first AFCON. I think also he came in the second half towards the end of the game. So nothing much to say. Now let's take a look at the missed players. I think that's the key word here. Do you think we missed Boniface?
I don't know if it was Boniface we missed or the guile of Sadiq Umar.
Yeah, okay.
I think so, Boniface, yes, maybe a bit of force up front probably will have harassed the defenders a bit more. But I feel Umar will have added a bit more. We needed somebody up front that has an eye for goal. You see, there's something between Simon and Lukman. They are not point men.
Yeah.
The way a Lukman would have gone up front would have been with the aim that if I cannot pass, at least I can score.
Yeah.
They will never give you that. We saw Lukman, Sadiq Kumar did
Kumar.
that at the last AFCON.
Yeah.
I think a bit, that's what Kanu Wanko used to give us.
Yeah.
I think a bit of that probably would have helped. Maybe Boniface, if you had one Boniface and one Osimhen, again could have caused some trouble in the sense that you have two forceful defenders, attackers, and they will have drawn men to themselves naturally and free up other people. Maybe that would have happened.
Maybe. Yeah,
but I would have preferred a Sadiq Kumar.
Sadiq Kumar. Okay, and Terry Murphy and his club side, you can't blame them. Next, they refused to let him leave immediately because it was already in the plan to play today. So after the game today, he will be flying straight to Ivory Coast to join up, to join up with the team. Do you think it would have made any difference today?
Except you are taken out Osimhen. If you are not taken out Osimhen, I don't see the difference.
We will still be coming to that part. We'll still be coming to that part because today we went with 4-3-3. We'll be taking a look at the formation later. Now let's come to the Iheanacho was not fully fit. He was on the bench.
Yeah.
Iheanacho, do you think if he was on the pitch today, maybe something different?
Maybe something different.
Could have said something different.
I think so because Iheanacho can give you goal.
Yeah.
And you also cannot deny the fact that aside Iwobi is probably the other best passer of the ball in that team.
Yes.
And at some point, Osimhen could have fed on a few of those passes. Yeah. So I think that could have worked. But unfortunately, the young man is not fit.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he will be available.
Hopefully. Well, Ndidi. And Yusuf played Ndidi's role. And do you think he did very well?
I think he did well.
So that means if Ndidi had been on the pitch, it wouldn't have made much difference.
No, he wouldn't have.
He had played game that we lost as well.
Of course.
So Alazan played very well today. So probably the only player...
That's not a problem.
Yeah, so Alazan, thumb up, he did very well today to fill up that space.
Yeah.
But now let's take a look at the formation. We went 4-3-3. And that means we have only 1 point man. And like you rightly said, Moses Simon and Ademola Lookman, they're not the kind of player that will give you that goal. Do you think at a point we should have gone with 4-4-2 where you have 2 point man?
What that also does is, okay, if you want to go to 4-4-2, then you ask the question, it makes you lean in midfield. Because your two seeming midfielders are actually attackers. So when you go up front, you have your two attackers coming into the box and then the two wingers coming, and then you are open to counters. That's what made 4-4-2 to fade away in most
in recent game.
I feel a 4-2-3-1 would probably have helped us better. A 4-2-3-1 in the sense that the four defenders are there, and then you give yourself one staying defensive midfielder and one that can move
right
forward.
in front.
Just the same, the usual Arsenal or Barcelona way. And then you have your wingers, and then still Iheanacho and Iwobi in that middle. Do you understand? Yeah. So that would have been a bit more flexible. But for some reason, maybe the injuries played a role. The fact that you do not have a Terry Murphy, the coach probably feel if Osimhen gets injured, the only option I have is Onuachu. So I'd rather play them one after the other. Those things probably was playing on his mind. Because we can't discountenance the fact that those Iheanacho not being available to play this game is a factor. Not having another attacker would definitely be a factor in his decision making. But you see, it's difficult to make excuses for Pesero.
Yes.
The Super Eagles under him have not had a good game, in my view.
Well, no excuse would be tenable here because we are talking about a country with over 200 million population.
All of us are footballers.
Yeah, of course. Hold on. And Equitorial Guinea, they are a country with 1.3 million. And mind you, not all the 1.3 million are footballers.
But you know why?
But yet, they were able to come up with a team that they held the Eagles, and now we are back to what we know how to do best, permutation. Now we are okay. If we beat Ivory Coast, we are back to that. Of course, we should have moved past the stage.
I understand your point, but just on the lighter side, if you want to play the population card, then maybe China should have been the best football playing nation in the world. Also, let's just put that aside. I get your point actually. Beyond the population numbers, the fact is, we know, all due respect to Equitorial Guinea, we have more talent, footballing talent. We should have a better team than we're having.
Yeah.
And that is not the fault of Pesero. Unfortunately, that is not our focus. We are focusing on AFCON. So I don't want to drift too far to why we cannot produce the best players.
Well, in as much as you don't want to drift, I will still force you to go there because while we were watching the game, I saw a few comments that the players in the league would have done more or probably would have been able to do something. Do you agree with? Now, we went with only one home-based player, a goalkeeper. Now, we are back to the topic that we discussed about a few weeks ago. What is going on? Do you think, looking at dedication or the commitment, do we have that in this team?
The question you should ask, Ebenezer, is that why do we have players that seemingly does well for their club but in the national team, we question that commitment? We question their dedication. It can't just be because they don't like the football. It must be other factors, and those factors are not about the players. It's probably a technical matter. Maybe the coach is not up to the standard to get the best out of them. It's probably an administrative issue. I mean, going into this AFCON, you need the president to settle all the bills.
Yes, Damilola. Before, I think we don't have it when it comes to motivation right now. I don't think they have any issue. But for me, this is where the issue of having one or two home-based players in the team, this is where it comes into fold. The weather over there today, 32 degrees, and that's massively hot for some of these players who are based abroad. So do you think if you have maybe 2 or 3 players playing, in the league, in that team...
But would we have played them?
Eh?
Would we have played
No, that's what I'm saying. He should have been able to. He should be able to play them. Let's take a look at the 2013 team. We went to the AFCON with 6 home-based players, and they made huge impact. Sunday Mba scored the winning goal.
Okay.
If you are going to ask me, Sunday Mba scored the winning goal that won us the tournament.
Sunday Mba did not start that tournament. No side ever started.
Yeah, it didn't start, but when given the opportunity, but when he was given the opportunity, he made good use of it.
The only players that actually started and played all through was Obabuna.
Fantastic defender, and he did very well.
I understand your point, but again, the dynamics are neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Good enough. We always go back to 2013 because
Keshi had done something that
Keshi took a chance,
yes,
and he succeeded at it.
Yeah.
But whether you also like it or not, we've had. My challenge is most times the more you give these home-based lads an opportunity, 3 matches after, the so-called home-based player is now a foreign-based player.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's the problem I have. I mean,
I think Pesero or Raw made the same.
I mean, can we
said the same thing.
Iwala, the guy with him, but was given a chance. He's not a foreigner.
Yeah.
How many players have we given a chance, and they are foreigners today? So that is a problem. That's why I don't like the foreign-based, local-based discussion. No, I like it. I like it from the angle of.
Yeah.
If a coach believes that this guy is playing for El Kaneme Warriors and he's better than the guy in Atalanta, irrespective of the location, you should pick him.
True.
That's my position. It's not about whether he's home base or foreign base. Because you see, this foreign base thing, go check the last 5 years. 90% of the so-called home base that we brought to the Super Eagles, 3 games after that call-up,
yes,
they are now foreign base players.
And Dami, with the way things are, we'll be dragging on this, or we'll be spending more time on it. The reason why a lot of people are clamoring for home-based player, especially when it comes to playing opposition from the continent, is due to the fact that you made a statement earlier. Iwobi started the game very well, but the tenacity dropped. Yeah. And it was the same with Ademola Lookman. Yeah. And we've seen Calvin Bassey over time. Is not the kind of player that can play 90 minutes when it comes to African game. So I think this is where you probably would need, some of the players who are familiar with the weather.
The other thing we need to do, familiar with the weather, is to also ensure that the home base at home, that we have the right facilities to develop our player to international levels.
Yes.
That's also a factor. Because what you need at this level is not just brawl and brute that you are strong.
Okay.
There is the technical part of it.
Okay, well, now, let's quickly move forward. We'll be playing at Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
So what is the way forward? What should we do next? Or what mistakes should they like correct before the next game? What are the areas that they must improve on?
I think our fullbacks must be more purposeful. I didn't see enough of that in this particular game.
Okay.
If you must, the first thing we must put on our mind to do if we must succeed against Ivory Coast is that we must bully them.
Okay.
Because you are under the pressure. You are not just playing against
Now
11 players.
We have
You
the
are
stadium will
playing
be
against
filled
11 plus 60,000 people
more than
on that day.
more than
And there
60,000.
is a chance that their president will also be seated.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So
The stadium, the ticket was sold out 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, yeah.
That's the,
So
gate,
that
the
place is
ticket
filled.
for the
It's
Nigeria
jam-packed.
Ivory Coast
Yeah.
was sold out 3 weeks
3
ago.
weeks ago. So that crowd alone will swallow the crowd of the 3-team or supporters club that we have. That's not even there at all. So the point is, I think we need to work on our fullback. If we still want to play a line, we see a line now with Nottingham Forest. It goes forward with purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't see that today. Zaidu Sanusi scored a couple of goals for Porto. We didn't see that today. So if you need a Bright and Emechi to do that for you, then you have to bring them in. And I think we need to ask the question. It is not enough to say that they've been playing together for long. The AFCON and Shemi Ajayi for me is not a balance that works.
It didn't work
it's
out
not
today.
a balance that works. So,
Both of them, they don't have the pace. They don't have the pace. I think for me, you need one, who can control it, and another who can
Shemi
cope
Ajayi is a bit
with the
leggy.
pace. Yeah.
So you have to look at that. I think the goalkeeper is fine. Just
The
keep
goalkeeper
him
is
for me.
fine.
There is nothing to fault today.
So we used to go with this
In midfield?
starting 11.
No, I won't. That's what I'm saying. I won't.
You won't.
Unless they are going to give me something other than what they gave today. I
So
won't. From the fullback, for example, I'm going to
let's
start my
hope
change.
we'll be able to call on a Nacho for that
Hopefully,
game because
hopefully.
its absence was
And I think
felt
we
today.
probably we should go the 4-2-3-1 formation. Probably play,
Pesero had never tried that
play
before.
Frank Oyeka and Alazan from deep with Alazan the freedom to move.
Yeah, he has not tried that, and I don't think that will happen. It's either he's playing 4-3-3 or he's playing the usual 4-4-2.
But the sad part for me is that I look at the flanks, from the flanks going forward. We have a bunch of players that can be wasteful.
Well, let's just hope.
So I don't know if you want to change anything from there. Will you bring Samechukwueze into this?
Which is not going to happen.
I mean, it's not going to happen.
Well, viewers out there, it's been nice having this conversation with Damilola Onifade. Well, we can continue to go on and on and on. As long as it is Eagles, we can talk about this for the whole day.
Honestly.
But
For 1 year, in fact.
For 1 year. But time is not really on our side. Well, let's hope that they will be able to make up for this draw that actually felt like a defeat today. Well, on Thursday, the Eagles will be playing Ivory Coast, the host nation, and it's going to be a tough one. It's a game that they must win if they want to stand any chance of progressing to the round of 16. Well, it's been a nice show today, and we hope that you will join us again tomorrow on Sport Extra. Do have a lovely day.